will hear from a host of experts today who will provide local and national statistics, facts, and experience as it relates to the college readiness and college completion. But we will also talk about the impact of attitude and culture. Today is about the public policies that can contribute to or take away from the success of any of these goals. And the outcomes of today must go beyond the discussion in this building today. Our goal is to move this discussion to the next level, to develop a white paper to be shared with other citizens, businesses, students, and our legislative representatives at the local, state, and federal level. Because this is about the competitive future of our city, of our region, of our state, and in so many instances of our country. It is about the economic health of the region. The focus on African American college completion is intentional because we live in a majority African American city. But the outcomes from changing the odds for these African American students benefits all of us, regardless of race, because it can change the economic health. It does not mean that we are unconcerned about the college completion for Latinos or whites or Asians. We are concerned clearly about our ability to be competitive in tomorrow's economy.
Education is fate. I think we know that. And we have a moral responsibility to make sure that every child has the fate that he or she deserves. I want to highlight some of my schools. And I think that those schools become the answer to these hard questions in terms of what's happening in our schools. We have 6 schools in Baltimore City that have over 90% of their children eligible for free and reduced meals, but have over 90% of those students performing at proficiency and advance in state tests. And I think of them as my 90-90 schools. And the question for me, of course, and the question for everyone else, because nobody has figured out a way to take these schools to scale system-wide, is how is it that they're able to be so successful where so many other schools are failing? But I have over 30 other schools that I now think of as my 80-80 schools. So they are over 80% free and reduced meal, and over 80% at proficiency and above in the state tests. And the fact that we are now a school system that can look at 40 schools as really beacons of excellence, regardless of the challenges, is, I think, tremendous hope for the years to come.
I begin with the statement that we as a community are facing the challenges that we find throughout the country. And I have a chance to go to a lot of places. I've been in 40-some states in the past 10 years talking about the achievement gap. And what I will tell you is that I've not found a place, Alonzo, where that gap has completely been eliminated, that we have these challenges wherever we go. There are some practices that I think we can think about. And I want to recommend to you several publications. One is entitled The Future of Higher Education by Gary Olson, O-L-S-O-N. I have a chapter in there on access, expanding access, with a lot of emphasis on children of color. There are 2 other pieces. One is a new series called Black Males in Higher Education that's just come out in the last couple of weeks, and it's going to be several books, and I've got a chapter there talking about black males in science. But the book, the editor is Frierson, who's a dean down at the University of Florida, Hank Frierson. And the 3rd book came out in the last 8 months, entitled Toward Positive Youth Development. My perspective today comes as a result of several personal and professional experiences. Number one, having an extraordinary experience at my beloved Hampton University, where there was a nurturing experience and people pushed us to think about what the world would be like, and that it would not be all black, quite frankly, as they prepared me to go to the University of Illinois, and that I should prepare to not be expected to be the best. And it was quite an experience having that. And then secondly, the experience of working at the University of Illinois in a program called Upward Bound. How many of you know Upward Bound? If we could know that children loved to read and wanted to be smart and were willing to take advice and respect authority. These things sound really basic. Keep looking at, you know, the older you get, the more you know everybody in the room, so I just wave at everybody. But if we think about it, the very basic things, we would be well on our way as we work to help children to get ready to go to college and to make it successfully. But the experience with the Upward Bound program, learning that children could be in the 10th and 11th grade and not know the difference between T-H-E-R-E and T-H-E-I-R. You get my point? Really understanding how poorly children were reading and faking it a lot of times, and as smart as they could be, but just not having the skills. And then looking at the difference in attitudes among parents, coming to understand that you can't assume because a parent is poor that person doesn't care. The person does care, as long as you don't have a person with a drug problem where the person is sick. You get my point? You know, that people care, but that they don't sometimes know what they can do or how to do things. All the people who've been principals in the room and others know what I'm talking about. And what I'm suggesting is that going around to those families and looking at the differences in their homes. When I found a poor child who could read well, when I got into that home, I could find a few books on the floor with the babies, with the little kids. You get my point? When the children had the most difficult problems, you saw the TV on all the time, wasn't a book anywhere in the place.
What I'm about to say, I'm targeting HBCUs because that is consistent with my assignment, but it is true for any number of the other 4,000 colleges and universities in the land, okay? So not all of this is unique to HBCUs. There are 105 HBCUs representing 2.5% of higher ed institutions, 54 private, 51 public. Most of them, 75% of them were founded before 1900, and most of them right after the Civil War to educate and bring literacy to about 4.4 million ex-slaves. There are now 40.7 million African Americans, 31% under the age of 18. HBCUs enroll about 1% of all students and about 12% of all African American students, and yet we still graduate about 25% of those who earn an undergraduate degree. What I want to say about that, just in laying out the terrain, is that about 15% of the institutions are in deep trouble, and a number of others are just in trouble. And a number of them are doing just fine, thank you very much, all right? And I just want to say that because the perception tends to be that we're all in trouble, and that's not true. But yet and still, there is, even in the ones that are doing well, there is a survival mentality, and that hampers a lot. And again, this is one of those points that's true for a lot of institutions. They're just trying to survive. And I think what we're going to try to do in my office is to create a shift from survive to thrive.
I want to congratulate Associated Black Charities for convening a group of leaders from the Baltimore area that goes far beyond education, because the challenge that we have in education in this country is really far beyond the K-12 system's ability to handle this, far beyond higher education, and it necessitates business, corporate, philanthropy coming together to embrace the challenge.